Thank you. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6:30. And first thing that we need to do is open the public hearing for the tax classification hearing. It starts at 6:30. The Select Board will be holding a classification hearing at 6:30 on Monday, November 10th, 2025. Select Board, upon hearing data relevant to the fiscal effects of the available alternatives and upon recommendations made by the assessor, will decide whether the town will continue with one tax rate for all classes of the property or adopt multiple tax rates. So do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Yep.
Unanimous. Public hearing is open. We'll start with Julie.
Good evening, members of the Board of Selectmen. On behalf of Board of Assessors, I'd like to thank the opportunity to present this year's tax classification information. The purpose of tonight's hearing, as required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 56, is for the Board of Selectmen to determine the town of Groveland's property tax levy that will be distributed amongst the different classes of taxable property, being residential, commercial, industrial, and personal property. For fiscal year '26, Groveland's total assessed valuation is $1,648,967,239, and that's value. This breaks down by class as follows. The residential tax value is $1,533,492,396, being a total percentage of 92.997% of our town's value. We have zero open space value. We have commercial value of $42,473,263 with a percentage of 2.576, and industrial, $39,453,400 with a 2.393%, and personal property is at $33,548,180 at a 2.034%. These figures result in a residential open space percentage of 92.9 and a commercial industrial personal property percentage of only
There we go.
7%.
Yeah. What'd you say?
As assessors, our responsibility is to ensure that all
I can
property
see them, but I
values are
can't hear them.
established.
Yeah, I was just about to, I was just gonna try and log in on.
Hey, Chris, you controlling the Zoom?
Yep, one sec, I'll troubleshoot it.
Are you good?
I hope you don't have to start over.
I won't.
No.
I'm just gonna. Let me know when we're ready. We ready to go?
Andrew, can you hear us? Nope. Lucas?
Okay, try it now.
Lucas, can you hear us? Maybe it's on their end. Because we could hear them clear.
Continue.
Ask, are we on this first page?
I'm just reading what I wrote. It's basically your first page, your letter. I just added a little bit of my own, just.
Oh, you're reading
as a-
from your
yep,
letter.
Yes,
But we're not on the chart.
not yet.
Okay.
The numbers that I did speak about are on the chart, though. They are on the bottom of the chart.
That's what I was trying to.
Yes.
Okay.
The breakdown of the classes and the valuation per each class is on that chart. Are we good?
Go ahead.
Okay. As assessors, our responsibility is to ensure that all property values are established at full and fair market value and certified by the Department of Revenue. With those values approved, the purpose of this hearing is to provide the Select Board with the necessary information to decide whether to maintain a single tax rate for all property classes or to adopt a split tax rate, shifting a portion of the tax burden from the residential class to the commercial, industrial, personal property taxpayers. This decision determines how the town's total tax levy is apportioned amongst taxpayers and ensures a transparent and equitable approach to funding the town's operations and services. We will now, okay, so the presentation of the class options are on that chart that I supplied. And basically, what this chart does, and people that haven't experienced this before, I think there may be two, it allows us to show a shift range. And so at the bottom, it shows, I used a 25% shift rate just to show the difference in the tax rate. And this is not, the tax rate that you're seeing on this paper is not our tax rate just yet. We still have a little bit of tweaking to do, and we still have some more documentation waiting to be submitted that has to be submitted after this. So this is just an example of how it would affect the rate on the bottom. With a single rate, say we had the tax, if you go all the way across the bottom where it says RESET, that would be a single rate. If we were to shift it by 25%, the rate would go down a few cents for the residential rate, but it would go up a few dollars for the commercial industrial property. And then another 25% shift would do, underneath that, you see the 1249 and the 1947.
I'm not following.
Okay, so on the bottom of this chart, there's the.
What chart? Yeah, okay, I got that.
Okay, so on the very bottom where it says CIP shift in the corner,
Maybe I have a different chart. I don't see it. In the digital, it's there.
is everyone else able to see it?
I'm not seeing it.
No.
I don't follow what you're doing at
So
all.
I gave everybody 3,
I have page 1 of 2.
there should have been more pages. Is there in the? I know, well, it's the
Hi,
paper I
digital.
gave the
I'm
packet,
digital.
to put in the packet, there was 3 pages.
Do you need a few more copies? I just put paper in that machine.
Thank you.
I could copy a couple pages.
Nope, there was another one.
Or we don't have.
I think this one should have been there too. Well, I can hand this out to everybody if you guys want me to run and make a quick copy.
I just put paper in that machine, do you want?
Okay.
Just-
Okay, I can do that. One, two, three, five.
Glad it's not just me. Like the kid afraid to raise their hand in a classroom. I don't want to be the only one that doesn't know what's going on, but. But I've passed that age where I can just go, I don't know what we're talking about. Oh, that's all right, no worries.
It was a sanity check for us, like, wait a minute. Thank you.
Not much has changed.
Yeah, no. I'm sorry about the size of that too, that's about as big as we could get it on one.
Font size
I
minuscule, but it's
know, I
fine.
know.
That's fine, don't worry about
I
it.
can handle it.
I actually see better smaller than.
Okay, so now, at the bottom of this chart, where it says CIP shift, you'll see a single rate go from the 1.25 to the 1.5. And if you go across, it shows you the residential rate without the shift, and then it shows it underneath with the 1.25 shift and the 1.5 shift. And it shows you what it would do to the commercial industrial rate if we were to shift in those percentages.
Okay,
Okay?
yep.
We're allowed to shift, we can go in increments of however we choose, but the maximum shift is 1.5.
Okay.
So I use the 25, just for, give a little bit of, to show how. And the rest of it, the details on that sheet are just what I discussed as far as the values and the levies there, and that's the tax rate that we're showing right now before we're 100% done. So it should be around that somewhere, a single rate.
What is our current tax rate right now?
The rate last year was $12.69 per thousand.
Okay, Okay, thank you.
And then on the LA 13 sheet that you have, I hope, that shows us the average single-family value for 2026, for FY '26. The growth that we had in new homes, and there's a couple of other details on there, just for your own, just get a little bit of what's going on as far as any changes in values and stuff. we've had.
Is the growth in new homes, is that already happened? Is that,
The growth in new homes has already been added into into the values, yep.
okay. Is that like also additions and improvements?
That's
and
growth, yep, that's all the additions, improvements, anything that's a brand-new home, any structural changes, stuff like that, permitted upgrades, all that.
Is that number higher than we usually see?
Yes, it has been, and that's due to the big project on Sewell Street.
Right, so what's our, like,
The growth, I think the growth number's there.
no, but what is the average, like, before this big number? Like, what were we used to run at, like, about?
Honestly, I didn't bring the growth numbers because it really doesn't have anything to do with why we're here.
I'm
it's
just
with the
curious how
tax rate,
this, I was just,
I could get the actual growth number for you
Well,
and the comparison number for you.
Rebecca, do you know what, Rebecca, like a ballpark of what our new growth is usually like? It's,
What we had budgeted.
yeah, like what we guessed.
It's right, it's on that chart, Kathy. If you look at 2026 growth, the average three-year growth,
Where am I looking?
right at the top of the chart.
Yep, oh, 677? No, that's the house. Okay, where am I looking? Top of the chart.
The top of the chart, it says FY '26 growth, and then it has three-year average growth. Right next to it,
I'm looking.
it says class, and then it has the classes.
Did I?
Yeah, scroll down a little bit more.
Yeah,
Oh, no, the other way.
this way.
Right there, that chart right there.
Oh. Residential.
It says 3-year average growth.
Oh, it's a title. Okay, I gotcha. Oh, no. So 7, that big? Okay. So that's the actual just growth?
Correct. Remember, those are value numbers, not dollar numbers.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's why I'm looking at it going, okay. I was thinking we could just buy everything. Thank you, Julie.
You're welcome.
You are so good. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate
No
it.
worries.
Go ahead.
I guess, basically, and then I did also include the LA4, and that breaks down every individual class and the values per class in that chart. That's it says assessment classification report at the top. And that, again, is just for your knowledge, just to be able to see the number of different types of property we have in town and how much value they bring.
Anybody have any questions? Steve?
Yeah, just two questions, I guess. Do you have any data or any comment on, has there been any significant shifts one way or another over the last 5 to 10 years, residential versus commercial, that we need to keep in mind?
As far as,
Bless you.
Just the overall percentage of the base. So I know you talked about 93 and 7.
so I've been here 5 years, and it's never gone more than 7%.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think historically, I think Groveland's always had a single rate. I don't know if I've ever read or heard anything other than, I don't think there was ever a time where there was a double rate.
Okay, based on that, I don't have any other questions.
Ed? All set. Becky?
No questions, no.
Any more questions, Kathy?
I know. Well, just on the value change, do you know, like, it looks like it's kind of just flattening out as far as we were having these huge increases? Is that the increase in the value of homes and open space and commercial? That line there, the value change percentage?
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. No, the values this year remained pretty stable. I think that's partially due to the fact that we did the complete reevaluation last year of the entire town. There were some classes of property that may have been off a bit due to the fact because we don't have the sales to back the changes in values. We only have a handful of, say, 4 families or 3 families or, so we were able last year to get everything up to exactly where it should be. And this year, sales have remained pretty solid. There hasn't been a huge increase or decrease in sales, so we were able to keep everybody's values pretty stable. Besides the people who, you know, if there was any improvements or any
Right.
growth on their home, they're gonna see a value increase.
Okay.
But other than that, people should see, you know, we're pretty much at a good, stable place this year.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Anything else for Julie? Was there any discussion that we would like to have amongst ourselves in terms of making the decision?
I think that, you know, given the amount that it would take to do anything that would impact the residential rate in a meaningful way would just totally bury our small commercial customers, and potentially we could lose more businesses because of the percentage split. That's the bottom line about it. That's the takeaway. We could lower the commercial rate, but I don't think our residential customers would thank us for
That's not
an
an option.
increase. Yeah, I don't think they would thank us for that either. So, I
Not
mean, I think
allowable.
that voting the 1.0 rate is the way to go, and staying with the percentages that we have. And given that what the valuations haven't all been brought up to the right level, and there was no override last year, the increase in taxes should be within the Proposition 2.5% range. Yep.
So could I get a motion? Keep the one tax rate?
Yes, I'll make a motion to keep the one tax rate for, do I say all classes? Is that the proper thing? For all classes.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Now, I close this hearing before opening the next one, so I'll take a motion to close the hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Public hearing for the FY 2026 tax classification hearing is closed.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, and as always, thank you for the information. I think it's important to get that out there so everybody has an understanding of where we're at and why it's so important to keep focusing on increasing our business base, commercial base. All right, so now we need to open up the hearing for a change of manager application for a change of manager of the records on premise for a retail alcohol beverages license for Wedgwood Beverages Incorporated, located at 156 Main Street, Groveland Fairways.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll second that.
All in favor? So the hearing is open. And that, I believe, would be you, sir. On Zoom. Oh, can you hear us now?
We can hear you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Andrew Upton for the licensee. Can you hear me clearly now?
Absolutely.
That's great. With me is Lucas Funderburg, the proposed manager of record. This is the Wedgwood Wedding Facility at 156 Main Street. Lucas is the proposed new manager of record. He is a U.S. citizen. He is a Mass resident. He has 3 years of experience running weddings for Wedgwood Weddings and 2 years at this, 2 months, excuse me, at this specific location. He has a clean record. There's never been a violation at any place he's worked on the liquor license. And he was previously approved to run a Wedgwood Weddings facility in Spencer, Massachusetts. So he's been vetted by the Mass ABCC. So those are the basic facts. And with that, we're glad to answer any questions.
Questions? Yeah, nobody? No questions. Kathy?
Just to clarify, is a change of the corporation that's running the facility, or it's just
Just
change
the
of the manager? So it's the same company
Yes.
that.
Same, Yeah, no changes whatsoever to the corporation or the operation of the licensed premise. Just a new qualified guy.
Okay, and we have to have a public hearing when they change their manager, yeah?
Yeah.
Just because,
The ABCC requires us to.
okay, all right, thank you. I just wasn't sure why we had to have a public hearing for that. Okay. It all seems to be in order. If we're ready, I'll make a motion to approve the application for Lucas Funderburg. Burke, is it Burke, Funderburg? Did I say it correctly? Thank you. As the new manager of Wedgewood Weddings Facility.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? 4 in favor, 1 abstention, just because I'm a butter.
Okay.
You're all set. Thank you very much. I'll take a motion to close the hearing.
Make a motion,
Thank you all.
Thank you.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Unanimous. All right, with that, I think we're going to go ahead and start our regular meeting
Mr. Chairman,
with the
Pledge
Pledge
of
of
Allegiance.
Allegiance.
Pledge
Yes,
of
sir.
Allegiance.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. So if you all care to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I believe we only have one public comment.
Me? Let me get it. See which envelope it's in. That's not it. This one. I know. Hidden envelope. Thank you. Kathleen Castronellis, 12 Hillview Drive. As you know, this was the first year that we tried this Halloween swap, and I basically was buried in costumes, and it was a lot of costumes. So I wrote the following letter to Lisa Chandler, who was instrumental in making this event a success. I really can't take that much credit. I think Lisa was it. So it says, Dear Lisa, on behalf of the residents of Groveland, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks for your incredible effort and dedication in helping to coordinate this year's Halloween costume swap. Your enthusiasm and initiative truly made all the difference by setting up a collection bill at the Bagnell Elementary School and spreading the word to parents. You went above and beyond to ensure the success of this event. Thanks to your outreach and commitment, we collected 4 times the number of costumes we originally anticipated. Because of your hard work, families who attended the swap were delighted by the amazing variety of costumes available for their children. Your generosity of time and spirit helped create a fun, sustainable, and community-centered event that brought smiles to so many faces. I am deeply grateful for everything you contributed and for the energy you bring to our community. Thank you again for your outstanding support. I couldn't have done this without you. With sincere appreciation, Kathleen Castronellis. And I'd ask that this be attached to the minutes for this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nope, I gave it all. That's it.
Yes, thank you, Lisa. She does so much for the events that we have here,
She's
particularly Groveland Day, and
Amazing.
absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. All right, we're going to continue on with Community Preservation Project, property use approval for the Pines Lighting Project.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the last meeting, I had brought to your attention a couple of applications that were going to be put forward on town property. As part of the application process, we do need to seek approval from the select board before moving forward with an application. This is an application for lighting up the Pines Recreation Area. As you see, you have lights down at the softball field, but you do not have lights down at the utility field where they do the Pentucket Youth Football. They actually bring light towers down to that particular area. And they also do not have lights at the baseball field. In addition to that, with the new pickleball tennis courts, we've had a lot of feedback that when it starts to get darker earlier, people have to stop their activities, and they would also like to light up that particular area. And as you're all aware, we have the skate park area, which is also going to need some additional lighting. So we're asking for approval from the select board to submit an application to the Community Preservation Committee for their consideration of this particular project and putting that forward for the annual town meeting in April.
Anybody have any questions or concerns?
I have a couple of questions.
Go ahead, Steve.
First question is, do we have a sense of what the projected operating and maintenance costs will look like once the lights are installed, and what budget that will fall under?
So we have taken a look, and they are going to be placed, each individual will have their own switch, so we can figure out when we turn them on. Like the softball field right now, you can only turn them on if you have key to access that, so that will be tied to the fee for the use of that particular area. The only one that doesn't have a significant, that does not have a set association with a fee would be the skate park, the basketball, and the playground area. But all of those are lights that are off of the existing light poles that are currently there, and just adding an additional fixture
Okay.
onto the existing poles. But for the actual utility field, the baseball field, like the softball field, all of that would be tied to the user fee.
Okay. And then, I think I saw in the proposal that we're looking at things like the lighting designs that are energy efficient and reduce spill and things like that. Are we at the point where we have any proposals that we've considered, or are we just getting approval at this point?
So we're looking at different companies right now. As you'll see as part of the memo, there is a photometric plan that shows you exactly kind of what one particular company had proposed. I'm working in coordination with the Recreation Committee as well as the Community Preservation Committee in putting this proposal together. So there are a couple of different companies that are offering proposals as to what that design might look like. So I do not have specific details at this point in time.
And then just one last question. If this moves forward and we put the lights in, obviously it's going to allow for some of those kind of generally accessible places to be usable after dark. Is the goal to, have organized sports after dark, things like that? Is that what we're trying to do with this as opposed to just during daylight hours?
From my understanding and the feedback that we received, it's a little bit of both. So like we have right now with the Pentucket Football League, they bring down those towers, and they cost a lot of money to rent those towers and to put them on. So they are spending a ridiculous amount of money that they don't want to spend on that rent for that particular feature. So there's the use of the recreational fields, what they're currently being used for, what the select board allows them to be used for, to continue to be used without having to add those additional features on their own dime, and have those available, in addition to some of the security reasons that we would like to have some of those other areas lit up, which would be like, again, behind where the skate park is, and the entryway coming into the park, and making sure that that's clearly identified so that, if there is any activity, the cameras can pick it up based upon having proper lighting. So it's a little bit of a mix of both, not necessarily to extend beyond what we allow, but to provide that amenity for those that are operating during that time. And then again, for a security feature, to make sure that we have the Pines Recreation Area properly lit during its operating hours.
Okay, great, thank you.
Ed?
Will there be an effort to get neighbors' concerns, comments on this project?
We can definitely solicit additional information from the surrounding areas. The photometric plans and everything that we put forward does not emit light any further than the basketball court, so it's not looking to go further up in that area, and the only abutting neighbor to that extent would be the town hall. But we can definitely take that into consideration when looking at the plan in more detail to make sure that there is no spillover into the roadway, in addition to those neighbors across the street and the neighbor next door.
Okay.
Becky?
Can you refresh my memory? What are the operating hours for the Pines?
From dawn to dusk.
Dawn to dusk, okay. So with this, that it would adjust that, right? Because it'd be available,
We would take that into consideration based
Right.
upon what is operating at that point in time.
right. I know, because right now, everything shuts down at what, 4 o'clock? It feels
Yes.
like it's midnight?
But with, like, again, the football field, they're still playing, and they're
Right.
playing after dusk.
Yeah.
And they had their lights set up, and
Yep.
the select board offer them a permit to do so.
Right,
So it would be extending the operating hours of the park, but for certain uses, or do we have a larger conversation and extend the operating hours altogether?
Right.
So definitely something for the select board and under the select board's authority.
Right.
To dictate.
Okay. And the other comment I had is I was happy to see that the project was addressing the risk of light pollution. I think that's really important, impacting wildlife. And I want to thank the Recreation Committee for leading this project, because I think the Pines has really grown, and it's exciting to see something like this in motion.
The chairman, Patrick Molina, is leading the cause, and he's very passionate about making
Yeah.
these things happen, and it's been a joy to work with him on this.
Awesome.
Kathy?
Yes, so are these lights going to be the dark sky friendly lights? Is that what these are?
Yeah.
So they will definitely be only downward facing. They will have the buffers on them so that they won't have any extending any other light. And as far as the use of the facility with the lights, is that going to be by permitted? So that, in other words, we're not going to keep these lights on and the bathrooms open until 9 at night if there's not a game or something. We're going to do this by permit, I would assume.
Well, it's up for the select board to discuss if you wanted to do by permit and use only, or if you wanted to adjust the hours, like was brought forward by both select board member Boucher and Baker.
Right, well, my concern would be like to see first what the cost of operating these lights is going to be, because again, it's another piece to the tax rate, another burden, and it's for organized sports that are usually by permit. It's not, the pickleball tennis courts are open, but the rest of those fields are by permit only. So I would think that you would build into the permit fee the cost of the lighting.
Yes, it would definitely be per the permit. The fees generated would go back into the use of the facility, just like they do for the bathrooms, the boat ramp, and the general upkeep of the maintenance of the facility as a whole. We do not spend any taxpayer dollars on the field for those causes, including the dog park. The dog park, we
Right.
use the fees from the Bark Pass, or we also have the generous donations from the nonprofit that puts money towards the maintenance of that particular area.
Right, but at this time, how do we secure the bathrooms right now? What are we doing and at what time is that?
Right now, we have an automatic lock that locks the bathrooms at, I believe it's either 8 or 7 or 8. So they automatically lock. And so there's a lock. So if you're inside, you can get out, but the doors automatically lock. And then there's police patrol that go down there later in the evening and ensure that the facility is shut.
Do they go inside to make sure nobody was in there?
I believe they just drive by, but they can get out of the facility if there's somebody in there.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would think it's a significant liability for the town to lock a bathroom and not know for sure that there's not somebody still.
You can get out of the bathroom.
No, but what if they're not okay to get out? We don't check the bathrooms now. We don't check them till we open them in the morning? That's it?
Well, if they're shut at 7 PM or 8.
So in
PM,
other words, an automatic lock goes and,
But I think it just locks, so when the person leaves, the last person just locks behind them,
well,
right?
it locks, but I'm just saying, let's say somebody has an event in a bathroom. It's happened, okay? Nobody checks that bathroom. When does the bathroom get checked or opened or checked for anything, for maintenance? The next morning?
It gets opened in the morning, correct. And we
Okay.
have the facility manager go down every morning to ensure that it's open.
I think there should be a check at that bathroom at night to make sure that it's empty.
So we can put that on the agenda for a conversation and a discussion. For right now, I'd like to keep it to the lights.
Okay, but again, the lights are part and parcel of it because that's going to entail the bathrooms being opened to a later hour. So it's all connected. It's not separate, it's connected. And it's all part of the town's responsibility. But I'm happy that it's a dark sky friendly lighting and that we're following all that. And maybe you could help me out. I was looking for, do we have any zoning regulations that designate us as a dark sky community? Because Google said we are, and I'm like, I didn't know this.
There's nothing, I believe that there are the parameters in the zoning bylaw to encourage for development to use those types of lighting, but I don't believe that we're like a designated community to my knowledge.
Not yet, okay, yes. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No?
So if the board is in favor, I'll take a motion to allow for use.
We're making a motion to allow them to proceed with this project, right?
To be able to use the land to put the lights on.
Yes.
That's what the.
Oh, that's what this is, it's not just to
Because
proceed?
if it doesn't, if we don't allow them to put the lights on the land,
Okay.
they can't proceed with the project.
Okay, so they're going to file the project with this year's annual town meeting, is that
Yes.
it? Okay, so I'll make a motion that when they finalize their lighting plan, they can use the land that the town owns down at the River Pines Recreation Area.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second, any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Unanimous. Next up is a review of the town administrator evaluation form.
All right, so at the last meeting, I had handed out a new form for the board to take a look at. I did get some feedback and tried to incorporate that. I had not put in a section for the town administrator's goals, so I added that, and I think there's a copy in the packet that also has what that looks like when it's filled out. Just a brief comment. So what I wanted to try to do with this was move away from a numbers-based rating system and more towards a narrative-based process. My goal was to create an approach that focused on actual performance, accountability, and dialogue as opposed to just using numbers. The intent was to have fewer, more clear categories that kind of drive the conversation and not just rely on pure scoring. And what I found when I was researching this is that that aligns with modern performance management practices adopted by the Commonwealth of Mass, recommended by the International City County Management Association, also endorsed by the MMA. And the idea is to, again, emphasize goal alignment and meaningful feedback over numeric precision. I looked at what the state of Mass is doing, and, in their model, they talk about how they're centering their process around meaningful performance conversations. The International City County Management Association talked about numbers rating systems being unhelpful and reducing performance to a scale of 1 to 5 doesn't help the evaluated or the evaluators. And then the MMA talked about how a more constructive process is based on developing processes around goal setting and professional growth. So that's what I tried to put into this form. The goal isn't to make it less structured, but more accurate and reflective of what's the work that's actually being done. So I'm happy to discuss it and see if there's any questions.
I thought it was very well put together. What were you, Kathy?
I like it. I think it's really well put together. My only suggestion would be that we designate that the evaluation be based on the election year calendar as opposed to the fiscal year, so that, the board members that are working with the town administrator submit their forms by, say, either April 1st or April 15th, and we complete the process prior to the May elections every year. So instead of a fiscal year, do an election year, because that way you have the same board hearing the goals and evaluating the goals. Otherwise, you potentially could have 2 new members on the board trying to do an evaluation, and they haven't been here, right? So again, I would suggest either where under that thing where you had select board member instructions, you just say, submit your completed forms. If you want, put in April 1st or first meeting in April, and that way the chair has a few weeks to pull it all together. So prior to the May election, you have a completed town administrator evaluation.
So if we did something like,
First meeting in April.
for us to complete our forms,
Yes, by the first meeting in April, and give them to the chairman.
yeah, I think that makes sense. And then the only thing we would need to figure out and just put some language in around, I think, is when we would need the town administrator's self-eval back, probably 2 weeks before that, maybe? to get
Yeah,
time to review it.
that's fine, yeah, you can put that in.
So you're looking at mid-March?
How bad does that conflict with you preparing for town meeting? You can be
The
honest.
timing is not ideal for me.
Okay. Yep.
But I will make adjustments and do what's being requested.
Right.
It makes sense for the board members. That's the problem. Otherwise, you just risk, like I said, we trade out two positions on two of the cycles,
Right.
so.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know the timing's not necessarily ideal, but if we push it up any further, then we're heavy into budget season and everything else, so.
Yeah.
I don't think that there is an ideal time.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think it is a very important practice to do, so. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
And then another comment based on that, so having this sort of structure, I think would help our town administrator, because it's not like, it's a surprise, oh, here's your new evaluation, right, that you have to do your self-evaluation on. You could almost do it throughout the year and then just finalize it, so it's not all built into one. That's what I tend to do in my personal work. So we usually have crunch time. We have 2 weeks in November, everyone's freaking out, trying to get it all done, but I try to do it all throughout the year. So then I'm just finessing it toward the end. Just want to be mindful of, I know crunch time in March, but it seems, if there's a standardized process, then it makes it a little bit easier to follow.
I agree.
Take a look, so.
So shall we move forward with this?
Yeah, I think compliments to Steve for taking a good, a deep look on this, because we were just operating off of what was kind of handed off to us, and hard to find time sometimes to do everything at once. So appreciate the extra work and the research that went into it. It really shows, and I think it reads really well. So I'll make a motion to accept the document with that one change, that it operates on a election year basis.
What
I'll
else?
second that.
Motion and second, any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Unanimous. I know Kathy originally initiated that conversation, but
On the evaluation?
yeah.
Yeah, but Steve did the work.
Definitely
I'm good at initiating.
Took it
Steve's
over
better
and-
at doing the work. Thank
got
you.
it accomplished. So,
Yeah.
yes, thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
the
you,
feedback.
Kathy, too, for initiating that.
Yeah,
I think it was important.
yep.
Next is the creation of the Sustainability Committee.
Okay, that's next. I thought it was select board
That was
goals.
select board goals.
Oh, Select Board rules, my mistake.
Okay, so, I don't know how your copies are. Some of it looked a little bit cut off, so I reformatted. Does everybody read, can you read all the sentences in your boxes? You can, everybody can have this if they wish. It should be the same thing, right? Unless I'm giving you two of the same. No, these are 2 pages at a time. You keep two, keep two.
Keep two.
Keep two. Don't pass down. 2 at a time,
Got two to pass down?
2 at a time. This is like in my classroom. They always separate, and I go, no. Yes. Okay, so that should be the same as what you're looking at. I noticed, like, I think when I was trying to look at it, I felt like I lost a little bit of the edging and stuff. But I can't take all the credit for this either, because, I dove into this, and then Becky was good enough to take a stab at it, and then she restructured it when I said, can we just have it as like a table so it's easy to look at? We could see how we're doing. We don't have to read through a whole report. So this is a table format. Thank you to Becky for that I think makes it very easy to see the goals. Do you want to go through them one by one as a board, or have we seen these before yet, or is this our first time seeing it like this? I'm trying to remember what we saw last time. Was it just brainstorming?
I think we went over some of the goals. What we're
Okay.
going to put in the goals, and then it's just the format itself that we're putting together, because we talked a lot about the
Okay.
smart creation of the goals. And
Okay, so we did, okay, so. So do we want to go through it goal by goal, or do we want to just do the whole document? What are people thinking?
Go goal by goal, and everybody will understand what
Okay,
our
okay,
goals
so we'll
are.
start with the
And how we
first-
plan on measuring them.
So, and again, I'm taking credit for Becky's hard work, but we have two goals in government and civic engagement. The first is to enhance transparency and engagement with residents through multi-channel communication. Okay, and so that was, our goal was to improve the town's communication and transparency by leveraging a variety of media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, the town website, and the local cable channel. And for measurement, we had listed a completion of a media audit, establishment of baseline engagement metrics, increase in overall engagement across all platforms within 12 months, and, oh, did we change monthly to quarterly? I think we changed
Yeah.
it to quarterly. Sorry, that word should
Or
be quarterly.
bi-monthly, but-
Or bi-monthly. Bi-monthly, I put, so sorry, I missed that change. It should say bi-monthly reporting to the select board on progress and analytics, so that we're not every single month trying to reinvent this, but every 2 months, we check in and say, okay, how are we doing? So bi-monthly, I missed that one. Is that one okay? All right. And the other government and civic engagement goal was to promote excellence in government through annual policy review and civil discourse. And the goal is to conduct an annual review of select board policies and procedures to ensure they reflect best practices in transparency, accountability, and respectful communication, serve as a model for other elected and appointed town boards and committees by fostering civil discourse, encouraging public participation, and advancing town goals effectively. And the measurement for this goal is to have an annual policy review completed and documented, and at least one training or public engagement session held annually focused on civil discourse and effective governance. And the third measurement is positive feedback from residents and other boards measured through surveys or public comment.
Just one question on the annual policy review. I think we've spoken about this before. Should we kind of designate when we want to do that? Because I know we had a conversation about that earlier in the year, about, maybe doing it sooner rather than later. So I think maybe similar to what we're doing with setting a timeline for the town administrator review, maybe we should discuss,
Are you taking the note?
dates and meetings when we wanna
Becky's
do
got
that.
this.
Yep.
So what are you thinking in the first quarter of the year?
Yeah, I would say.
Okay, we can add that.
And maybe similar with that training, which I think is a great idea, but that may be harder, that we may be a little more flexible there.
Yeah,
Right.
harder to
But I think
pinpoint.
the policy review is really important.
Agreed. All set? Okay, so we have 3 goals under financial stewardship. The first one, support balanced budgets that sustain services without an override. That's our hope. So ensure the development and approval of fiscally responsible budgets that maintain high-quality municipal services for residents while avoiding the need for a Proposition 2.5% override. And the measurement would be the annual town budget goals are in line with financial constraints set by Proposition 2.5 and a detailed revenue forecast based on the best available data. The second measurement is the budget is balanced with no deficit and maintains or improves service levels year over year. And the third measurement, quarterly financial reports show expenditures within approved limits. Okay, second financial stewardship goal, support and uphold financial policies for responsible fiscal management, actively support and advocate for the financial policies proposed by the town administrator and approved by the select board, ensuring consistent application and alignment with long-term fiscal stability and community priorities. and the measurements are: 1, all annual budget decisions and capital plans align with the adopted financial policies. 2, financial policies are reviewed and reaffirmed or updated annually by the Select Board. 3, public communication materials, budget presentations, website updates reflect consistent messaging around financial policy. And 4, positive feedback from auditors or financial consultants regarding policy adherence and fiscal health. There's 4 measurements on that one.
Just on the public communication material, I think we put out a ton of information, both at town meeting and before town meeting, around the financial state of the town. But I think, and I don't know if we want to make this part of our goals or measurements, or if it's just something we want to table and discuss later, but I think it would be good if we had some sort of 1-page, 2-page, whatever you want to call it, financial health summary that we could publish to residents so that they could see kind of all of that data that we're pulling together that sometimes can take a bit to get through. I wonder if that would help, just when we're talking about communication and informing residents, if that would be something we should look at, and whether we should make it a goal or not.
Well, the town administrator, in collaboration with the financial board, but I think the town administrator primarily produces charts and documents that portray the financial health of the town for the annual town meeting. So are you saying, those are at that one point in time. We don't tend to keep
Yeah, I think it's
throwing that out there.
I think it's an annual. I think I look at it as more of an annual thing, but I wonder if we should maybe work with the town administrator to make sure that we have some sort of, again, annual financial health summary or something similar that consolidates some of that data into a more digestible format for residents.
Well,
Instead of the actual financial report that's put on the online every year,
Yeah.
something that'll break it down. I
Well-
don't know,
what about Ellen's presentation at our last meeting? I thought that was incredibly informative.
Maybe.
And the charts were great. And it's all done.
yeah, I don't know if we can break it down any more than that.
But something like that might work, maybe just us committing to publishing that, making sure that that's published and visible to residents could be part of the goal.
Published in see, that's the
On the
difficult.
website, if we're gonna use the website as a communication platform, I think that would be a place that we could put it, or, potentially somewhere on social media. I think there's lots of ways that we can get that information out there.
Well, I'm wondering, because I feel like the work is already being done, that if maybe this would fall under our first goal, which is the more transparency, that after we have a presentation of the format that we had
Sure.
from Ellen, if we want to have some kind of a summary of that posted on the website at that time, when all that's valid and current information, put it up, say, we just did a financial overview of the town, right? Whatever you want to call it.
So I will say that as part of the budget book that I'm developing, I do have like a financial snapshot of where we are currently before going into what we're proposing for fiscal year '27. So I do have that type of summary that I'm working on that will be one of the first
Fantastic.
pages before getting into like the general fund and what we're looking to do for that fiscal year. In addition to that, what I think I'm hearing is that it might be beneficial to then post the year-end summary that's coming from the town accountant that kind of summarizes exactly what happened after town meeting, and we went through the whole process of spending the monies and what was left over and all that other good stuff. So maybe we try and just, like you're saying, take advantage of what's currently already in motion and just kind of advertise it a little bit more. And maybe we can
Yeah.
use the website to do that, and then kind of, again, with the budget book being as interactive as I hope it will be, we can kind of update that and share that through different social media channels as well.
I think that would be a great approach.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next one. Okay, we just did annual policy review, right? No, I was in financial stewardship, I'm sorry. So the second one,
We're on page 2, the top.
we're on page 2, thank you, I thought we were. Okay, this is our third financial stewardship goal: secure a cost-effective and high-quality trash and recycling contract. Identify and implement the most advantageous contract for trash and recycling services that meets residents' expectations for quality while remaining within the town's approved budget. And there's 3 measures. 1, the new contract is executed within approved budget parameters. 2, service disruptions are minimized and response times meet agreed standards. And 3, cost savings, cost containment, or waste reduction is demonstrated compared to previous contract. Want to move on? Okay, so we have 2 more goals under infrastructure and capital planning. The first being identify a sustainable and cost-effective solution for the Salem Street Dam. Pursue a stable resolution to the issues surrounding the Salem Street Dam by evaluating feasible alternatives that minimize taxpayer burden while actively engaging state-level partners and maintaining transparent communication with residents. And there's 2 measures for that. Quarterly updates presented at select board meetings and made available to the public. And 2, selection of a preferred solution that aligns with budgetary constraints and is approved for implementation.
So I like both of these. I just have a question. When is the next reporting milestone for the dam? Like, when is the next inspection due?
So the next required inspection by the Office of Dam and Safety would be in the springtime.
So until then, it's basically just the efforts that we've been putting in to stabilize things and all of that, and then
Correct.
Find funding.
finding funding.
Correct.
Okay, the next infrastructure and capital planning goal, support roadway and safety improvements, review and support the highway superintendent's road maintenance and improvement plan, monitor progress quarterly to ensure timely repairs, crosswalk installations, and traffic safety enhancements. And we have 2 measures. 1, quarterly progress reports published, and 2, number of repairs, crosswalks, and safety enhancements completed versus planned.
So the one thing I'd like to do with that, maybe something that we could add, is that we at least annually get a presentation or review the entire plan. I think it's great that we're tracking progress quarterly, but I'd like to see the plan in its entirety at least annually.
So that would be under the measurement.
Yep.
So annual presentation by the highway superintendent.
I think the quarterly progress is really important, but it would be good to understand what is
Yep.
proposed going
Okay.
forward and what, how we track to that.
If we did it that way, we'd have to have I would imagine the plan would be to have that in the first quarter. So we would understand what the plan was going
Right.
forward.
Well, when he goes in for the budget, doesn't he present a plan to the financial board?
So I would say that for the Chapter 90 paving program, that you would want to necessarily get that annual update around your January timeframe, because paving usually happens in the springtime and then follows through the fall. So you'd get a better understanding of where he is in his planning. It does split fiscal years, but it would be something that would be more timely at that point in time, because that would mean that your plan that you set forth for that year would be closing out in the fall and winter, and then you're planning for the spring and the fall of winter of next year.
Okay.
But the Chapter 90 is separate from his budget, so he's not necessarily presenting to the finance board what his Chapter 90
That's right,
pavement plan
yeah.
is.
So
That's a
we
separate-
Should we wait for the Chapter 90 then, because we see the budget? Or do you want to do something after the budget's voted?
So most of the paving is done with the Chapter 90 funds, right?
Correct.
So we
Yeah.
need, it's probably, we probably need that information regardless of the state of the budget, right? Because the Chapter 90 funds is what's gonna drive the paving program.
But
So
the
may-
plan doesn't necessarily change based upon the budget, per se. Like, I mean, the plan is a flexible living document
Right.
that changes based upon different things that come up, whether or not there's a water main break, whether or not
course.
the funding's there or not. So the plan, you could still have the conversation but he could come back in his quarterly
And say
report
we had to
and
do
let you
something
know,
completely different.
based upon
Absolutely.
the allocation from the state, it came in lower than we expected, so unfortunately, we're only gonna be able to do these roads instead of the roads that we did list, but at least from that annual review perspective, you're getting the entire picture, and then that quarterly, you're getting like what's actually happening and what's being put forward based upon all the other details.
The strategic plan versus the operational implementation of that plan.
Right, all like things that happened on Union Street where National Grid was gonna replace the gas pipe, so we went to the water department. And since they're paying for the pavement, now we have to incorporate some of the other roads around there.
So are we adding another measurement? Are we adding an annual review in the first quarter of the year?
I'd like to.
And then we do quarterly updates? Okay, that'll do it.
Is it an annual review or annual presentation if it's a plan?
Okay,
Yeah.
either way is fine. Okay, and then the next two goals are education, the Whittier Regional Agreement, and building. I'm not involved in, I'll just read it. Advocate for changes to the Whittier Regional Vocational Technical School Agreement that promotes transparency in both the budget and the new building processes. And there's two measurements. One, participation in regional meetings or advocacy efforts. And two, transparency improvements such as public access to budget and building documents.
So without jumping too far ahead, is there a reason why we would not include a documented review of the Whittier agreement as part of the Whittier? Because you have it under Pentucket, but not under Whittier. I think we're kind of going through that process, right?
It's so added. Okay, and then on the education, the second one is strengthen oversight and transparency of the Pentucket Regional Agreement. Ensure the town actively monitors the Pentucket Regional School District Agreement with a focus on transparency and public engagement. And there are two measurements. One is, as you just spoke, the documented review of the Pentucket Regional Agreement completed. And two, the report, work completed at the elementary school, posted on the town website and summarized at a public select board meeting. And those are the goals. If you want to approve them as amended?
I have a couple of questions in terms of whether or not this, along with the dates, will be added to the calendar, so they come up automatically. So it's something that we won't overlook. And will it be added to the online documents, similar to the goals and administrator reviews? That will make it something, make sure that it's something that we actually focus on and do on a regular basis.
I think that's a great idea.
So yes, so if this is something we want to move forward with and that we all agree with, I think we can,
I just had one
Change
question.
motion.
For the town administrator, just from your oversight, is there anything here that you see that's conflicting with what is in motion currently, or nothing will derail?
I think this is great.
Okay, all
It
right.
definitely gives us a strong foundation to move forward and
Okay.
to direct our efforts internally to make sure that we're, working on the same path.
Awesome, okay, great, thank you.
Ed, yes.
Under the Whittier and Pentucket, we could add under both a line-by-line review of their budgets. I know we received them before the town meeting, but I think at the goal, we ought to look at a line-by-line budget.
I could just speak to the Pentucket. I think we attend the State of the School meeting every year, and that does consist of a fairly detailed review of the budget by ourselves and the other two member towns. If we wanted to list that as one of the measurements of our, so it's called the state, I don't know what they call it now. Is it still called State of the School or State of the something?
Correct, I believe that's actually on November 16th.
Yep, it's coming up.
18th.
And during that process, we do have the budget presented to us, and we're able to ask our questions. I don't know that we have line by line at that point, though. That's what I can't remember, what we have.
The budget book, yeah, that's the second presentation that we received. They actually produced the budget book at that point in time.
On the 16th?
And that's usually in, I want to say, the March timeframe?
Okay, so we go to another meeting.
Correct.
Okay, so we participate in, the Pentucket I can speak to. We do
Right.
that line by line, I think, at those dual meetings. At least I
The book
feel we
actually
do.
has the line by line included in it.
Yeah, and that's.
What would you like to accomplish by doing so, Ed?
To closely look at the budget.
So we're aware of what the school committee has been approving?
Absolutely. And perhaps get more information.
I don't know, that's something that we would put as one of our goals, but I think it's something that we could definitely entertain simply by making a recommendation to put it on the agenda. If it's something you want to go over and look more in depth at what the schools are spending money on, so you can raise questions for maybe us as the board to ask the school committee. I could see that as being a productive way of doing something, and maybe getting more information that way. But I don't know that would be one of our goals.
Well, I think the goal of participating, I mean, you participate through the Whittier process. I don't know what you do as far as the budget of Whittier. I know Rebecca goes to some meetings, but maybe
Yeah,
nothing.
I don't think any of us
receive it.
have any,
Okay, so you don't do it, but at Pentucket, we go to at least 2 meetings, and we do ask questions about lines at
Right.
those meetings. So my concern would be if we're going to do that, if we're going to do the redundant meeting at our meeting, the courtesy would be extended to invite them to come here, like we would any other town budget. If we're going to discuss, like, the highway budget, we're going to invite the highway superintendent in, right?
for us to ask questions and things, yeah, sure.
Well, even if you're reviewing this budget, it's a general courtesy. I mean, it's up to you. I feel like,
That's more, we actually have control over those budgets, so that's a little different. I mean, with the school committee, that's who controls that budget, the school committee and the superintendent. So I don't know that anything other than us coming up with questions to ask of the school committee would have any other impact than letting the people of the public know what's going on with the actual school budget.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way that I look at it is, I think it is important to understand how the money, how funds are being allocated. But I do think we have the fallback under the financial stewardship section where we talk about the annual town budget goals are within line with financial constraints, and then the budget is balanced. I mean, that all plays into that larger discussion, because the school is a component of that budget. So whether we call it out separately under the school, or we just make it, that review part of our overall financial stewardship, I don't necessarily think it matters. I think it's a good idea to dive into those budgets as deeply as we can to understand them. But with, your point, Jason, we don't have a lot of control over how those funds are allocated at the line by line level.
well, if I could just say again, maybe I'm not saying it well enough. If it was a measurement of our whatever we're going to do on the Pentucket, that we will attend those 2 meetings at the least. I know at one meeting, the Bagnell teachers showed up and were very upset because they felt that the reductions to the Bagnell school were unduly heavy compared to the other elementaries, and that was listened to. So, I mean, that's where you have the school committee there, you have the other 2 towns there. To me, that's the proper forum. If you do have a concern about the school budget, it's a much more powerful forum there to raise a question or a concern or a criticism, whatever it may be, but it's well placed at that meeting.
Right.
And that's what they're designed for, as far as I know, for all of our elected officials to come and participate.
Yeah, and I completely understand that, but like you've said many times, I mean, that's the first we see the information is right there. So we don't have a lot of time to go through it and go over it and to absorb it. But if we sat down here at a meeting with it, especially after they put together a little bit more. We can dive into it just to inform ourselves, inform the public that happen to be watching of what's actually going on and what questions we might come up with of the actual budget at a later date when it's more refined. So I think what Ed is saying is a very valid thing for us to be doing. I don't know that it needs to be part of our goals. Go ahead, Ed.
Do they do it different than we used to do it with Kentucky? Whereas we waited till House 1 came out at the end of January, and I would give the budget book to the school committee, I'd bring it to town hall before it's even voted on, so everybody could see what was in the other lines. So you had it very early, late January, early February. Then the school committee, everybody would look at it, and they voted, and but I mean, you got to see the budget book in its lines late January, early February, before it was approved in March.
Right.
There was
Right.
a lot of time for people to look at that thing and make comments and ask questions. It wasn't like we just handed it to everybody and said, vote on it tomorrow.
Right.
I agree. 100%. That's why we have the meeting in November. It's not nearly as refined, and then we go back in March.
Away from that.
Right. So yeah, actually, it would probably be a better idea to make sure that we do that prior to going back in March, so we have the right questions to ask.
And again, if you have questions, then you should go to the meeting and ask them.
Exactly, but this is where we would develop those questions, Kathy. We
Right.
would discuss it amongst ourselves with the paperwork in front of us, so we could develop those questions. So when we go to that meeting in March, we can actually ask questions.
Okay, but are you saying the board is going to have to vote all the questions? I feel like any member of this board, okay, good. Because any member can go and ask questions.
So I think we should definitely revisit that after the November meeting with the school.
So for that measurement, do you want a documented review of the budget prior to the,
Well, you said it didn't have to be a goal.
okay.
It can be an
I think
agenda
we're
item.
pretty good with our goals now.
Okay,
I think it's just
okay.
something we should actually
Okay.
just do.
Okay.
So does someone want to make a motion just to approve the goals as we've done them tonight? Get this off the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the select board goals with the changes that we discussed tonight.
Second?
You want me to second, or are you seconding?
You can.
I feel like
ahead.
you should, but I will. Okay, second.
Motion second, any further discussion? As none, I call for the vote. All in favor?
Yep.
Unanimous.
Good.
Creation of the Sustainability Committee and establishment of charge.
All right. After our last meeting, there was a request that Select Board Member Castellanos and I worked together to finalize a charge for the committee. We did that, and I want to start by thanking Kathy for all her hard work and the insight she gave when we went through the final version of it. I think the version that is included in the packet is what we would consider the final draft version. The goal, hopefully it sets the goal that the Sustainability Advisory Committee is able to truly influence our policies around sustainability, but there's also clear guardrails set for how that work connects back to what the Select Board and the Town Administrator are doing. It gives the committee some structure and purpose, but also enough flexibility, I believe, to let them help with practical goals and forward-looking policies. That's really all I have to say on it.
Yes, I echo what Steve said. I think I went into this collaborative meeting thinking we might be butting heads, but we actually did really well. And we had a lot more in common than different, and that was a good thing. And I think one of the things that fell out of this is putting an appointed committee into some type of a structured format such as this, I think could be really helpful. And it might be something that, when the select board has time, if there are other committees that we appoint, we might want to try and replicate this type of format. So there's sort of a standardized template. And that way, people will know, when you sign up for this committee, how many times am I going to have to meet? What am I going to have to work on? I don't know if I want to do that. You know, this kind of really lays it out, and it really makes it clear. It gives this committee a very important mission in the town. Sustainability is a hugely important mission, separate from other responsibilities of elected and appointed committees, and also separate from responsibilities of our town employees. We're really careful about that. So, yeah, if you like it, I think let's go for it. Oh, and the membership, we took up what was suggested here, the seven members, right, and 4 alternates. So a wide range of people can be part of it.
Yeah, I don't know that we need to go through the whole thing, but if there's parts that we want to review, I'm happy to read them.
Do you have any questions, Ed?
No, as I stated at the last meeting, I don't see where this is necessary. We have a town administrator, we have the board, we have department heads, employees, and there's, I think that they would be better than members of the general public that would be on this committee, because if you look at, a lot of these things have to be in conjunction with the town administrator. Grants and funding, the department heads, that's part of their responsibilities, to be looking for grants. And I don't know what members of the general public would be doing. And I know it was mentioned, they can advise them of grants. Well, that's the department head's responsibility to be doing that, and the town administrator. I just think it's a duplication of services, and I don't think it's needed.
I can address that.
Go ahead, Kathy.
So it gets to how we have very small staffing. Other towns actually do have a position for this job. So you're correct in saying, gee, that looks like something that an employee could do. Sure, if we could afford to have a much larger staff, we would hire a sustainability coordinator who would coordinate all these efforts, but we don't have that kind of budget. And as we all have seen over the years, we rely on our volunteer committees for a lot of tasks that are in other towns, and especially bigger cities, done by employees. So what Steve and I sought to do here when he spoke about the guardrails is to just make sure that the committee is given an important mission in looking into sustainability efforts, but also understands that its charge is to basically research, advocate, recommend, and up to us too, in case there's something that the select board would like to know more about and we don't have the time to do it. We can also offer to this committee, could you look into this aspect of sustainability a bit for us and come back and let us know what you find. We don't have an employee that's doing all of this as a sustainability job. We don't have that position in our town. So yes, you're right. Our department heads and our town administrator, who is doing the work of 5 people some days, yes, they do look into all this as time permits, but the whole issue of sustainability is a big overarching issue for a town. And it makes sense to include our residents in a kind of a research advisory format. Maybe someday there will be a job here that is that, but I don't foresee that job happening anytime soon with the how tight our budgets are.
Yeah, and I think another thing that this committee would give us, I think it's an important part of it, is the community outreach and education piece, because that's
Exactly.
going to support any successful sustainability efforts, is having a group of people that are dedicated to that, whether it's, hosting a session on recycling, or hosting maybe a similar to the custom recycling event
Yep.
that you helped put together. I think all things like that play into successful sustainability. The other thing I would say, and I think I said it at the last meeting, but I'll repeat it again, many of us are experts in our field, but that doesn't mean that we're experts on sustainability. And so bringing in folks that have a background in that may augment the capabilities we have, from the department heads and things of that nature. districts. I think it's really important.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I mean, volunteer committees is what small towns and is really built on, and it's something that allows many people to do the work of that needs to be done to accommodate everything. So I agree. Becky?
Yes, I just want to, the comment about the advisory committee not being needed. I think it's important to understand advisory committee, right? No one's trying to take someone's job here, but there's the other examples of advisory committees are like the finance committee, right? Their expertise is budgeting. We have an economic development committee that's helping with business development. So this sustainability advisory committee is just like one of those. And they really do serve as these critical bridges between residents and local government. So they offer that specialized knowledge and community insight that really help us to make informed, transparent, and forward-thinking decisions. The idea of sustainability advisory committee is nothing new. Dedham, Topsfield, Tingsboro, Ayer, Salem, they all have their own committees that have been up and running, and they've gone well so far. As far as this document, I love the clear expectations. Kathy, I love how you said this could be sort of the standard that we set, because I think this may increase public interest, because you eliminate that uncertainty, especially time. I think time is really probably the biggest barrier
Correct.
for people, right? And I think people hesitate due to concerns with those commitments and understanding responsibilities. So I love everything that was put together. I think you guys did a great job with it, and I think this committee is absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
So would somebody like to make a motion?
Ed has a comment.
Yes, Ed?
How about term limits? It looks like they're 3-year terms. How about, somewhere on here I read that.
Yep.
It was
How
staggered.
about a certain amount of time on the committee and let someone else on it?
Do we have that for other committees?
I could
We
address.
have,
Okay.
but it depends on the amount of people that want it.
Right, right,
We're running into problems with that,
yeah,
particularly with the Council on Aging.
okay.
Right. I think, you know, unless we standardize something, I mean, getting volunteers to become involved is a big step, and it's a difficult endeavor. If it becomes that we have a waiting list and people are on the committee, I mean, with 4 alternates and 7 members, I feel like we're going to be okay. We could have people voluntarily rotate to alternate to allow someone else to be a full participant, and I just feel that will work very nicely. And unless we run into a problem with somebody who wants to volunteer way too much, I don't know why, I'm not going to tell somebody that they should not be on it for more than a couple of terms. I mean, Ed, you must remember back, you know, with the whole cable committee that you were involved in starting, we didn't have full-time jobs for public access television, and that volunteer committee got that up and running, and now we have staffing and full-time position. Well, not quite full-time, but, you know, at least we have a salary position. All of this begins with the volunteer efforts typically in this town. That's how most positions have evolved over the past 20 years. And we try to see a need, and I think especially we've caught everybody's attention, obviously, with this trash cart size. And so it's a great opportunity to continue to educate and outreach. At least that's one of the biggest, most important things, I think, to start off with, is continuing to inform people once we get a new contract, what can you recycle? What else can you do? What are some other tips? It's a fantastic time to get this committee up and running.
And I think one of the most important things to remember is we're the ones that appoint them. So if we feel that they've been there too long and they're not up for the task, then we don't appoint them. That's well within our purview.
Well, one of the questions I get quite often is, somebody goes before a committee and things don't go the way they like, they have problems with them, and their question is, how do I get rid of these people on the committees? And, well, you have to get a majority of the Board of Selectmen not to reappoint them. So I just think that you don't want somebody on there for 20 years on a sustainability committee or whatever it's called. I just think that there should be others, if you're going to form this, how about giving other people a chance? You may have somebody that moves into town that's an expertise on certain things, and you might want them on the committee. But maybe term limits would probably makes the most sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why we're starting with shorter appointments when we establish the committee, and then again, 1/3 of the committee will expire every year, so there'll be an opportunity if someone's interested to apply and be appointed. We kind of structured it that way so that everybody didn't get appointed for the same term length right out of the gate, because I think that could create a problem where you keep getting, reappointed, but it's staggered, and it's, the initial appointments are either 1 or 2 years. We'll have to figure out what that exact mix is to make it all work. But I think it gives a lot of flexibility to get a number of different people and a number of different perspectives involved. Plus, I think it'll be the largest committee that we currently have at 11, so.
It will be.
7 and 4 alternates, right? So.
Yeah, and it is tough. I mean, you talk about term limits, it's very, very difficult, especially when you have people that are going to be joining this committee that will learn a lot as they come along. And the longer they're there, the more that they learn. And everybody that applies, they can sell their case to us, or whatever board happens to be here at the time. And I would expect that the board as a whole would be appointing people based on their merit over anybody else.
Right.
So I don't think that would be necessary myself.
Yeah, and we did try to also, to that point, we did try to spell that out in the membership where I think there are certain, at least high-level qualifications that we'd like to see in terms of people that apply to join this committee. It's specifically have interest and experience in areas such as environmental protection, energy efficiency, climate change, or public health, or a related field. So I think we're trying to narrow the scope. Not to say that we want to turn people away, but I think for this committee, it's really important that we have people that are knowledgeable about the topic and the relevant, things that are going to come up in the discussion.
I don't think I've ever heard somebody come up to me and say, let's get rid of these people on our volunteer committee. So I'm going to just give a thank you out again to our volunteer committees and thank them for the work that they do. And I know some of the committees are more difficult, you take more criticism, but I know that the people on our committees are trying to do what they think is best, and that should be respected.
So we're going to get a motion?
Didn't I make one?
No.
Oh. I'll make a motion to accept the the committee mission and description and membership as presented.
And I'll second that.
All right, we got dueling acceptances, secondings. Any further discussion?
No.
Not seeing any? All in favor? 4 in favor? 1
Opposed.
no? All right, next is a review and approve the police chief contract amendment.
So this was an item that had been on your agenda a while ago, so I do apologize. It was an administrative item that we had not yet gotten to, but the chief and I had a meeting back in the spring of last year to go through some of the changes that we would need to make to his contract. If you remember the conversation, it was centered around specifically the annual allowance that he receives and the language that was in his existing contract. And at the same time, since we were opening up the contract to amend that language to coincide with other annual allowances for equipment, cellular services, et cetera, we talked about potentially allowing for an extension of his term. His contract is set to expire next fiscal year. So we had worked in an agreement to extend his contract for another 2 years with a 3% increase over the prior fiscal year. All other terms of the contract that was negotiated originally would stay in effect. There would be no other changes that we would be making. And at that point in time, the chief would still have a conversation with the board on whether or not he would like to retire. So if there's any specific questions in regards to the document, I'm happy to answer it, but you'll see that I also included in your packet his original contract, so you can see that the terms all stay the same. And again, you can see specifically in item number 6, there is the clothing equipment allowance, and that is the language that we were looking to make more clear.
Anybody have any questions for Rebecca?
Are we looking for a vote to extend the contract at this juncture?
Yes.
You've already negotiated that it's
Those are the
acceptable.
negotiated terms. The contract stays full in effect. That was negotiated previously, and it was just the clothing allowance change as well as the extension to fiscal year '27 and '28 with a 3% increase.
So it's a motion for the amendment.
Correct. The motion would be for the amendment to the employment agreement between the town of Groveland and Chief Jeffrey Gillen.
I'll make a motion to accept the amendment to the employment agreement between the town of Groveland and Chief Jeffrey.
I'll second that.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Unanimous. And next, we'll be discussing of the proposed regional agreement from the town of Groveland for the Whittier region.
And as you know, I'm an employee of Whittier, so I'm going to recuse myself from this discussion.
Where'd it go?
Go ahead, Steve.
So, I guess I have a couple of questions, and I know you've attended some of the meetings. I think, Rebecca, you just attended some of the meetings. Before we kind of get into specific changes and things like that, I just have a couple of overarching questions.
Ask away.
This agreement, as I understand it, operates under a 1967 law that has since been changed and replaced with another superseding law. And that also references some DESI documentation that says that if there's changes made to the agreement, if a new agreement is established, or if there's changes made to the existing agreement, it has to be brought in line with that new law. It's not grandfathered in if it's opened and changed. Has there been any discussion about that? Any talk about what that means for the overall agreement?
No, because that was something we discussed for Pentucket. Whittier is getting a full new agreement, but it's not being called a full new agreement, because if we do that, that would require us to liquidate all of the assets that Whittier has. So they're calling it an amendment, but we can always amend any part of the entire agreement as it sits.
But it's still gonna fall under that same, I'm trying to find the exact piece here. I have a bunch of notes on this. It's still
Yeah.
gonna fall under, amendment is still gonna be basically have to be approved by the DESI commissioner, and those changes are gonna be, any changes that conflict with the current law are gonna have to be brought current
Yes.
with the new law. So I just wanna make sure because there's some things in here that don't necessarily line up with the current law. And I'm just wondering before we get into discussion about let's propose changing this, let's propose changing that, I just didn't know if there had been any discussion with Whittier about what that was gonna look like in terms of bringing things current.
A brand-new agreement that DESA is going to have to review and approve.
Okay.
So anything that's going to be left behind that doesn't meet up with it, it's going to end up changing.
Okay.
And, yeah, I imagine most everything is going to end up changing. But as we found out when we went through DESA has their own idea of what the agreements are going to look like, and we'll rewrite it as such.
They have
anyway.
specific examples of what the agreement should look like.
But yes, that was one of the things that I know that we got a recommendation to look at the Essex Aggies, because that was the most recent one that went through legislation.
Yeah, one of the most interesting things that I found was since 2000, they have not, and they've approved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 7 other vocational agreements, and not one of them have they approved that the operational costs are, the capital costs, I apologize, are split across the towns based on student population. It's always based on enrollment. So I don't know if that's something that we should just propose as an amendment right out of the gate to say this should be modernized and we should go in line with that, where it's based on, and capital costs are based on, or capital assessments are based on enrollment, not based on total student population.
I know that,
That was one.
the one that, one of the recent ones was the one that Orlando and, the guy worked on. What was that?
Concord, I don't know which school it was, I believe it was in Concord.
And they did it on a 10-year average.
Yeah, they say that what Desi seems to say is either based, there's 2 ways to do it, is either based on enrollment on October 1st or a rolling 5 or 10-year average. But again, it's based on enrollment,
Enrollment,
not
yes.
based on total possible students.
Right.
At least for the capital piece.
And again, I mean, when you look at the whole, for in terms of what Groveland had been paying, based on eligible students versus enrollment over a 10-year average, very little difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the 10-year average is to guard against huge spikes that would, or potentially just bust the budget. I know that I've been a big component of saying, if they're not going to Whittier, then they're going to Pawtucket. What's the difference in cost between it? Is it going to be that much difference? So I don't know that it's necessary, but a 10-year average seems like it's just something to help stabilize the budget, and I think that's an important thing to look at when you try to guess what your budget's going to look like.
Agreed. So that was one thing that I wanted to ask whether we should propose that amendment. I think it would make sense.
Oh, I think 10 out of the 11 committees, communities are going to be proposing something very similar. So I don't think that's going to be an issue.
So that covered that one. So the other thing that wasn't covered in there, and again, I don't know if it's been a topic of discussion, but the current, and this may just be part of modernizing the agreement, the current agreement doesn't talk about what happens if 2/3 of the towns don't approve the budget, but there actually is a law that says what happens based on that newer law that supersedes the one from 1967. Basically, it says that the DESI commissioner certifies an interim budget. So I think that should be called out in the agreement. But it may just happen naturally. What's that?
Oh, no, shoot that. I go, I know exactly what he's saying. I mean, you guys will permit me to do that.
Yeah, Mike's right there. Come on, have a seat. Oh, no, sit over here.
Sit over here.
Sit right there. You got a mic, you're ready to go.
Green?
Green, make it green.
Always green.
Hi, thank you. Greg LeBrecq, 11 Baldwin Terrace. This one fascinated me. I usually don't come here unless something I really care about. So for 20 odd years, we've been trying to get this agreement opened. As Steve said, everybody else has already changed it because this was enacted 13 years before Prop 2.5 became law. And as you just saw last year when they voted on that new building, there was no funding source for that. If that had passed, my God, how are we supposed to pay for that? There was no way. There's just no way we could pay for it. That's why everybody else has changed it. And for some reason, Whittier has doggedly refused to even talk about this because the city of Haverhill, if you want to change a regional agreement, everybody has to agree, and the city of Haverhill has refused to even open this up. People always say, well, Think about it. This is 60 years old. Pentucket is just a little bit older than this, and it's been changed 12 times. Now, people always say it hasn't been changed. Sure it has. How many people from Boxford were at your meeting, Jason? Nobody. They're a signatory to this agreement. They were allowed to walk without the proper vote being taken. Big change. Second one was Amesbury picked up a second vote. They didn't want to open the agreement to get them to have that second vote, so they pushed through a law at the State House level that said if you became a city, you got a second vote, so they wouldn't have to open this agreement. They liked it the way it was. But now they need a new building, so you have to bring it into compliance and follow Chapter 71, 16B, under the same thing for debt exclusion overrides, and everybody has to do it. If I was you guys, and again, I'm not sitting on this, I would just say come into compliance with 7116B and a weighted vote, and if Haverhill has the most kids and their votes are worth 50% of the votes, so be it. But you need to protect yourself going forward with this on the capital side. Absolutely, as Steve said, absolutely. You can't allow any capital language that allows a district-wide vote without a funding mechanism, which means when you do the capital outlay cost, it should be based upon per pupil under 7116B. It should be required that everybody approve it and everybody have a funding source. If they don't want to do it as an override, or a debt exclusion override, so be it. But we need to protect ourselves. We are too small to be able to take on a cost of a new building like that. Everybody accepted this originally because the state paid for the building. So everybody just, okay, sure, whatever. Well, here we are now later, and we need to be careful. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, and actually, Greg brought up something that was kind of the other thing that I thought we should put into it, and it probably affects us less than any other town, but I think that following each 10-year census, the district should review the school committee representation. It's actually called out in MGL 7114E, that you can put that into the proposal to adjust school committee membership if population has changed, and that should be part of the new agreement.
Yeah, you do that, you give everybody one representative and their vote's worth 0.2, 0.3.
Yeah, yeah, however you weight it, doesn't really matter, but I think that should also be included in there, because again, if the agreement doesn't get touched for 30 years, things are going to change, 60 years.
Yes, it's still an active agreement that was set up in 1961, or 60.
Maybe 64.
So there's still some out there that are older than what we had, which is pretty amazing. Yes, and legislative is one way that we can look at changing it, which has been a discussion. But yeah, in terms of, that's what Amesbury did to get their second vote, or second member, actually, because they became a city. And they went through the legislation, so they didn't open up the agreement. They got their second because of it. And they didn't open it up when they accepted Amesbury, because that was done through the legislation as well. Yes, Ed?
I'll bring your attention to Section 10, tuition students. And I don't think they should be accepting tuition students if some of the communities, if they're turning down students from, say, Groveland or West Newbury or what have you. I think they should be limited to tuition students if all the positions are not filled by the member communities. And I don't know how you could get that in there. If a municipality wants to send their students to Whittier, then let them become members and pay the full rate, rather than the tuition students, which you know that what you're getting out of the communities is not equal to what it's costing to educate those particular students.
Tuition students. I haven't even heard of tuition students.
Section,
Page
what do you mean,
6.
except for enrollment.
So that's similar to what we have with Essex Tech.
Okay.
So Whittier does not offer those programs at their vocational school, and therefore we pay the direct tuition for those students to receive those classes at Essex Tech.
And that's something that they do in return.
And we do have quite a few students going to Essex Tech.
The last time I checked, we have 11.
So in essence, what we do with, what the current agreement does there is any money they collect from a student coming from a other district just gets taken off of the assessment. That's how it reads. In other words, it offsets the
In this
assessment.
agreement,
Yeah,
that's what it's
correct.
talking about,
Yeah.
yes.
That's an
And with the new law in the lottery, I don't know that they have the option
outside.
of turning somebody away
From a non,
as being part of the lottery.
but can students that are not one of the member towns enter the lottery? It's a question. I don't know.
You're saying under the school choice law, the school committee on an annual basis has to vote whether or not to accept school choice students in the upcoming year. And once they do it, they have to say how many and for what grade. But for years, Pawtucket just said we had no, we're open to school choice, so you can get the money from the kids who are already there, but we're not accepting any new students. So the school, I don't think you have a right to tell the school committee what to do, whether to accept them or not.
We have our meeting tomorrow too, so that'll be good. I don't know, they'll be able to get much questions. I think we're just probably gonna establish smaller groups to discuss certain parts of it, but. Go ahead, Ed.
Generally, as they do at Pentucket, they, if some of the employees want to send their students to the school, they're allowed to do that, and then you get the money from the district. But it's my understanding that if they come from New Hampshire, we don't get a dime. And which is not right. If a teacher or an employee lives in New Hampshire and we educate their children, they don't have to, their municipality up in New Hampshire doesn't have to pay us anything.
Are you talking about like a student of an employee?
Right.
If that's what the school committee votes, they're allowed to do, yeah.
Because and in
That's
most,
outside of the agreement.
I know the Pentucket School Committee allows that, and, but I don't know about Whittier.
Just the
I'm sure they do.
committee, school committee. That's interesting. Because that's outside the agreement altogether. I don't know that Desi would put something like that in.
Usually part of teacher negotiation contracts.
Yeah. That's interesting. Go ahead, Steve.
Just one more.
I hope there's a lot more than that.
Well, I mean, we could go for a while, but one more that I think is important. So one of the other things that I noticed, and it was kind of timely because we got a different certification around the same time, is that this agreement doesn't have any language around excess and deficiency funds and following that law where they have to hand out or return anything over 5%. Now, I don't know if they do that or not, and it's just not in the agreement, but if, it should be spelled out in there.
Actually,
It's part of their A and B certification.
Yeah.
It may not be part of the agreement, but they have to be current with the law when they file their end of year report, so to speak.
Shouldn't be an issue to put it in the.
And we've
agreement then.
seen that before, too.
Yeah.
They've had to return funds.
Yeah, okay. That's more just probably a documentation that it's not part of the agreement as opposed to something that's not happening in practice.
It's more like state law is, over the last 60 years, has totally superseded this thing.
yeah.
Certain things they can't get around. If you want to be certified to spend, you have to follow the rule.
which I'm sure the new agreement's going to focus on stating what the state law allows, doesn't allow, and will make provisions for
That would be the hope.
for state law to continue to supersede the agreement as it changes.
I think that's it for me for now.
Becky?
I had the question on the school committee piece, but that was
ahead.
already addressed. Oh, no, it was just about adjusting that membership if enrollment changes. So a lot of the points have already been addressed. But with you being there, I'm very curious, your thoughts on amendments, because you've been in the thick of this, right?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, when you look at some of the ones that have been recently approved, like
Right.
Essex Aggie, and what they have in it, it's just so much lawyer speak. It used to be so much more simple, right?
Yeah.
7 pages, 8
Right.
pages. Now you got
A
a small
booklet.
book. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it just, it's very, a lot of words without saying a whole lot of information. But I guess you make it very, very clear. I was looking forward to the input here and the input from the actual meetings that I'm going to,
Right.
and seeing how that all plays out. Versus, because I know that one of the other things that they've talked about in terms of capital improvement is how they work in terms of the tuition itself, which for Haverhill, they don't pay what we pay, because it's based on wealth of the town, similar to the current. So they're looking at, same with the capital cost. We did speak with an attorney that Mayor Grove had provided us, who said that a lot of the towns and municipalities have chosen to go that route, which makes it very interesting. So it's not one for one, and I think when Haverhill really started to look into that is when they decided that it was time to really open up the agreement, because that could very well be very beneficial for them.
It could be, but on the other side, everybody has to approve it, not just Haverhill. Just sit in front of your open town meeting and say, if you approve it, you're paying for Haverhill.
Right, and that's the
That's a hard thing to do, and if you don't get everybody to agree to it, then the state law takes effect.
right.
And Whittier doesn't want to do any of those things, they don't get a new building.
And
Either come up with an agreement that everybody likes, follow the state law, or stay with this and stay where you are.
yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit more than that, just because of the legislation that has been pushing this forward, and the movements that they've been making. So it's going to be very interesting to see. So, yeah. Now, you've been
No, I just to add to what you were saying, I do think it's interesting, and I don't know if anyone else found anything more current, but even with the more recent changes to some of the laws and legislation around just school districts in general, but regional school districts specifically, even DESE hasn't published a new kind of model regional school district agreement since like 2014. So I wonder, what a new agreement would look like.
Yeah, it's so slow. So what would you like to see in terms of capital?
Obviously, the fairest way to do it is if there's 10 kids there and you send 3 of them, you pay 30%.
So you don't think,
I'm sorry, that I get that there's both factors and everything. The city of Haverhill also gets a massive amount of Chapter 78 that we don't get.
well, when they,
Pluses and minuses to all of this fun stuff.
when they get that Chapter 70 fund for Whittier, that's all calculated in there.
Yeah, well, if you look at the normal assessment methodology, they say, my budget's going to be $10 million, I get $7 million in Chapter 70, and the remaining $3 million gets allocated to the people based upon the number of students they send. That's two-step. That's the agreement you have to follow. If you don't agree to an alternative assessment methodology that everybody that's a member has to agree to.
Right.
We talked about it here a long time ago, can we get rid of two-step and just go straight per pupil? And sometimes it benefits people, and every year we do it up to became semi-close to being per pupil working, because after that, it's very predictable. No, you know, these wild swings based on all the economic factors and things that two-step requires. But
Interesting.
right now, it works well for 2 of the 3 towns, but not for Merrimack.
Right.
So Merrimack's never going to agree to it, unless you get everybody to agree to it, you're stuck with two-step. But you try every year just to see.
That shift to the lottery system, is that solid for next year?
It's solid for next year, but it's not solid.
Okay, excellent, okay,
They're still looking at revamping it for the following year.
okay.
So they had to make a decision, because they originally said yes, and then they pulled it back and said no.
Right.
And then they said, well, we're running out of time, and you need to go ahead and move forward, so this is what we'll do, and we'll change it for next year.
Because with that lottery system, it's just taking the pool of all students who are interested in all the towns and just like a lottery, right? There's no like, oh, here's the Groveland bucket, we'll pick a certain amount. It's just all one grouping, right?
Yes.
So when you pay per pupil, like, that's like playing the lottery, but could be the opposite, right?
Right,
Yeah.
end up with no pupils at all,
Right, right.
which I think is
The lottery part
is
makes
just
it
wrong,
complex.
but that's why I put that forward.
Yeah,
I think it's lottery, but it's based on slots, isn't it? So in other words, if they allocate Groveland 5 slots, you'll pull lottery until you get 5 kids from Groveland. and
Okay.
then that's it, then you keep
No
going.
slots.
Groveland isn't guaranteed only so many kids.
Nope.
So we did.
Not currently.
We did receive the communication from Whittier, and they are beginning with the 2025-2026 school year admission cycle for the 9th grade students entering the mid-year and all students entering for fall 2026. Whittier Tech will implement a resident community seat allocation procedure, and it will be based on the actual allocation of seats that we currently have for the students. So
And
typically,
how many allocations do we currently have?
I believe we're at like 36 or so, 34, 36, I forget the exact amount. But that would be the number of seats that we would be guaranteed.
okay, oh, okay, okay.
And then the allocation of seats is being determined by the average enrollment of each city or town within the district for the last 10 years. And I believe that's like somewhere in between there is our
Okay.
average. That was like in the last packet that they had provided at the last.
All right, I've got the enrollment right here.
Yeah, so that's in
Admissions
the-
policies.
Because on the second page, I think, resident community seat allocation. So it started with the admission cycle for the 9th grade students, but will be in full effect for fall 2026.
Okay.
And that's when the
All right, and that's what it says. The resident students will be considered in accordance with the appointment of the city or town established by the district and will be selected by way of lottery drawing. I don't see that as being very specific.
No,
You said there's a meeting tomorrow?
Yeah.
Can we get some clarity on that?
Slots. And residency must be verified in order to adhere to district and town appointments, apportionments. Failure to do so in 14 days will moved on.
So Groveland will be 11. Sorry, I misspoke. Not 34.
okay.
11.
11.
Okay.
So that's how many guaranteed slots we are?
Correct.
We guaranteed 11 slots. And we
So the
currently
one-
have 30,
No, we have 11.
that's Essex. We have over 30 enrolled there right now.
Yeah,
And
so
what-
what the class of, the presentation that they provided us has each city and town, and it has the class actual numbers. And so for us, it's Amesbury has 29, Georgetown has 14, Groveland has 11, Haverhill has 245, Ipswich has 11, Merrimack has
What's the top of the
11.
line you're looking at?
Which one?
What's that top of the line say that you're reading?
Class of 360 number of actual students. There's 360 students enrolled. And those are the breakdowns of the
You
community.
have 1,280 students.
So is that just one year? Is that one grade, like ninth grade, 10th? That's not total enrollment?
Because there's 1,280 seats in the school.
So it's the 10 and 5-year enrollment averages per community. I'll put it, I can't put it.
I was gonna see, I thought we.
Ninth graders, we get 11.
Yes. The average of the 10 and 5-year enrollment averages per community. Groveland has 12, 10, 11. Haverhill has 222. So our average at 11.
But we've had over 30 enrolled for the past few years.
I'll go through the presentation again. I wasn't there when they gave it, it was just included in the packet, but that's what the numbers are showing me.
Susan, didn't you have a printout that had?
I did. Do you have my printout readily available?
Which one is that?
The one that shows how many students are on the waiting list?
So I was trying to see if I know I have it, but I don't know where I.
I just took it out of my bag.
It was. Might have been this one. Let me see. I know we looked at that, and I think that it was definitely higher than 11. Yeah.
Yes,
that's
yeah,
what
it's
I
not the
thought.
total, yes. It's not all 4
Like, I
grades.
thought that was showing the average annual application and acceptance rate as opposed to the
And the
total.
total
Right.
enrollment
Yeah, but the total enrollment was a separate
column.
column.
So yes, for 2025, for Groveland, 15 applied, 11 were accepted, 4 were waitlisted, and 10 had enrolled
Right, so that's for the freshman class.
for the
then you-
2025, 2026.
But then you have to factor in the sophomore class, the junior class, and the senior class to get the
So
total.
that's why the average is 11, so they're only accepting 11 students
New students, yeah.
into the
Okay.
grade.
I see.
All right. I understand what you're saying now.
That's what the incoming class lottery size will be based.
So that would maintain our 30 whatever students we
Yeah.
That we
currently
have
have.
enrolled in the entire school, yes.
Right, right.
But each lottery that they're entering is only getting to the 11
Yeah.
spots. And that's based upon their 5 to 10
All right, that makes sense.
average.
Until every community meets their minimum, and then it's just a full-on lottery for the remaining positions.
Correct. So it says, after all seats from the city town have been offered, seats would be offered to the next student on the overall wait list.
Okay.
And the fall admission waiting list will stay in effect until September 15th of the same calendar year in which it was established.
And so those averages to give us the 11 didn't include all applications?
Yes.
Yes.
And
Just
average
accepted?
enrollment, average enrollment,
Just the accepted students,
Exactly.
not the ones that were on the wait list?
exactly.
All right, so if we only had 5 accepted out of 20, then the slots would be much lower than they most likely should be.
Correct.
All right, anyway. Does anybody else have anything else they'd like to add? What about you, Ed? You gotta have something.
I don't have anything to add.
All right. Well, then I guess we'll just move on. And Kathy, you're welcome to come back. Oh, my head's been hurting all day. Thank you very much, Greg, for your input.
Thank you very much. Good luck to you, sir. 11 communities in a row trying to get an agreement on this?
Well, the other option is we're gonna go to legislation, so. And that's been discussed quite a bit. Very interesting.
How many members of the Whittier thing are in regional schools that have normal regional agreements? I would think at least 6, right? All the Triton communities, Nantucket communities.
Yep.
I mean, these are just basic regional agreements.
Except Triton's, I don't think all of Triton.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, it's all-
Yeah.
so, I mean,
Newbury,
at least 6 of you
Newbury,
know what a
Salisbury,
regional
Raleigh.
agreement looks like.
Right. You could offer consulting services.
No, he ain't gonna offer anything, because we're just gonna drag him in.
I'll start.
No consultant services, because he's not gonna get paid.
Are you going on a lot of vacations? Good luck, thank you.
That's what Zoom's for.
Thank you for giving this a shot, though. I was fascinated by this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. No appointments and resignations. We do have approval of the minutes from September 15th.
Mr. Chairman, I read them over, they look to be in order, I'll move for passage.
I'll make one small correction on the third page, halfway down, it's Jan Dempsey, not Jane.
Oops.
Oops.
Sorry, can you just repeat that again? I didn't hear.
It's Jan Dempsey, not Jane. I'm assuming it was Jan that spoke. We don't have a Jane Dempsey. That's all. There's a little name thing.
Yeah, page 2 had Alyssa Lee's name, her last name,
Uh-oh.
I think is spelled wrong there. Isn't it L-E-E for Alyssa's last name?
Yes.
Okay, and here it's spelled L-E-I-G-H.
Okay.
Another one. Good
Another
catch.
one. Yeah, it's just,
Minor clerical stuff.
right, but
It's good to make them right.
Yep.
So you seconded it with those changes?
Yep.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? I did not hear about any old or unfinished business or any items not reasonably anticipated.
Yep.
So that will bring us to the town administrator time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, great news. We received news from the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, and we have confirmed MBTA 3A compliance. So we are very excited about this. There were a few comments that were made. There were adjustments made to exclude a parcel, which we had on the map, which was 0 Salem Street. It did not meet the frontage requirements per the zoning that we had established. It did not impact our ability to meet the unit criteria. So that was a minimal change. And then they did flag some concerns about the criteria within the site plan approval process, which they said might deter as of right development, which is what that bylaw aims to do. But it is in compliance. EOHLC will continue to monitor our enactment of such, and any zoning amendments affecting the district do require their involvement. So first phase is done. We are compliant, we are eligible for grant funding, and we are now also eligible for catalyst funds, which go to those MBTA designated communities. So we are very excited about that. The Salem Street Dam emergency repair update, I did want to let the board know that I'll be appearing before the Conservation Commission on Wednesday to request 2 items related to the dam. One will be a waiver from the seasonal restriction to allow the town to complete the necessary work on the dam outside of the standard permitted timeframes. As you'll see in the memo, I have listed the local Groveland Wetlands Protection Bylaw regulations, which require no work to take place from October 15th until, so November 1st is when it starts until April. So we are not able to move forward with our project, so we need to request a waiver from the seasonal restriction, and we're also requesting a waiver of the daily fee, which is set at $400 per day of work. So given the importance of completing these particular updates, I am seeking a waiver, and hopefully we'll be able to complete that work by the end of the month, if not as soon as they grant the waiver, so that we can make sure that we're in compliance and we're finishing out the order of conditions that was issued for this particular project. And on that note, as we mentioned earlier, we are working with GZA on our dams and seawall grant that we were awarded for this particular project and looking at the Johnson Creek watershed. And also, I did send out the preliminary plan that GZA had put together in our latest biweekly email to the board. And then for the next update, the parking spaces for the community trail at Main Street. So as part of the agreement for them to put their pressure release valve in, the select board had allowed them and granted them an easement, and we were going to, in return, receive 6 public parking spaces, including 1 ADA compliant space that were going to be constructed and funded by National Grid. This was approved at town meeting at Article number 8. The Conservation Commission had to hear the project not only for the parking construction, but in addition to the pressure release valve due to its proximity to the wetlands. At that point in time, they did issue an order of conditions, and they made a special condition that would require permeable surface for the actual parking lot. The approved material that was installed resembles stone dust and has proven to be problematic. It cannot be plowed or striped, is not ADA compliant, lacks durability, and poses a risk of sediment runoff into the nearby wetlands. So I did appear before the Conservation Commission to ask them to reconsider this condition and allow either permeable asphalt or standard asphalt, both of which would provide the accessibility, durability, and environmental protection that we were seeking. At that meeting, they had said that that's the type of material that they had anticipated them to use, so they did not necessarily agree to the surface that they had installed. So they sent over a letter to National Grid saying that they would prefer it to be permeable asphalt. However, National Grid has proven to be problematic, as they are not willing to come back and complete the project due to their concerns about the cost escalation. So we have been having multiple conversations with them. We do have a legal agreement that they had signed that said that they would provide the 6 paid parking spaces. They are...
One of which would have to be ADA. One of which has to be ADA, which is not.
Exactly. And they're claiming that because of the condition of the Conservation Commission, they could no longer provide that to us, and therefore that it defeats the purpose of the legal agreement. However, we also had restricted their certificate of occupancy based upon the actual paving of those particular areas, so we are going back and forth right now. Hopefully, they will see that it would be in the benefit of all of us if they proceed with paving those spots, as dictated by the Conservation Commission with permeable asphalt. But I did want to let you know that I did appear before the Conservation Commission. I am facilitating that, and hopefully, again, we will have a better solution to present to you. The skate park construction update, it's nearing completion. All the concrete work has been installed by the contractor, and they are now working to stabilize the surrounding areas. In the spring, the Highway Department will return and loam and seed the area as the final phase of the project. I did see that many people are walking by and taking a look, and it has been very well received, so we're excited to see it in its final stages. For the Washington Street, Salem Street intersection, TEC has been actively working on the intersection study, planning concepts for that particular intersection. You'll have, I think some of you have mentioned that you saw the traffic counters out there a few weeks ago. So we are planning a meeting to meet with them and go through the initial thoughts on the planning considerations. And then we'll also be taking a closer look at potential grant funding opportunities so that we don't necessarily have to just use Chapter 90 funding, or how that would kind of be broken down between either grant funding with Chapter 90 funding, or again, what are our options to move forward. For the trash and recycling contract, we received another request to extend the deadline, and we did grant that extension through November 24th. Along with this extension, we have also provided the prevailing wage rates that were requested by some of the haulers. Please note that no further extensions will be granted beyond November 24th. In addition to that, we've been working with Rarig, who is the vendor that we had utilized for the recycling cart rollout, and we have been looking at the new trash carts. So we had been taking into consideration what the breakdown of those carts would be based upon what the select board had put forward. So we did talk about providing a 65-gallon recycling cart, and then we talked about providing a 65-gallon trash cart, and then we also talked about providing a set-aside amount of 35-gallon trash carts due to those residents who would meet the thresholds that we would establish that would allow for such as a long driveway, a disability of some type, or an older adult that required the additional assistance. So we're trying to narrow down the numbers based upon what we saw for the recycling, and then have some set-asides. We did talk with the highway department about where we're gonna store those carts, how those carts will be rolled out, because somebody who might require a 35-gallon cart for X amount of period of time, a new person moves into that house, they might need a 65, how we would swap that out. So just making sure that we have the proper inventory while not providing, a whole highway garage of carts that, are just sitting there. So we have taken that into consideration, and we've also talked to them about the removal and disposal of the carts and the bins that are out there currently. They actually have said that they will not provide additional services for the removal, so we are looking at other companies to get other pricing to see what they would offer. It was an interesting conversation because they originally had said, that's what we do. We roll the other ones out and we take the other ones away. And then when we went back to get some pricing, all of a sudden that was no longer the case. So I guess the cost for the disposal of these and not knowing exactly how many they're gonna pick up and what that's gonna be has made it so that they don't want to move forward with that service for their particular company. But it doesn't mean that we're not gonna offer it. It just means that we're not gonna be utilizing them for that pickup. But they are more than willing to coordinate those efforts. So it's just gonna be part of a longer, ongoing conversation. And then for fiscal year 2027 capital plan, work is still going on to assemble the capital plan. Projects have been submitted, and we're developing several funding strategies. We do have a meeting scheduled with Hilltop Securities, which is our financial advisor, and we are going to review our current debt schedule and explore different recommendations and strategies that we've discussed. We are also taking a look at paying down some existing debt in order to create capacity within our fiscal year 27 operating budget. And then you'll just see I have a list of ongoing projects and important dates, and then the meeting and events and seminars. So I'm happy to provide any additional information on any of those items if you so choose.
Anybody have any questions for Rebecca?
Just on the parking for the rail trail, we had the National Grid. Did they come before us, or did they Zoom in? I'm trying to remember what.
So they had participated via Zoom.
Okay. And now they're not upholding their side of their contract. So, and they're violating the wetlands
No, they're
provision, right?
complying with what the Conservation Commission put forward as part of their special condition, but there's some clarity issues on what that condition really was in terms of the surface material. And so they're hanging their hat on the fact that they put down a permeable surface. And after conversations with the Conservation Commission, it appears that they too didn't exactly think that was the surface material that they would utilize.
But we asked them to pave the parking spots.
Correct, but they must comply with the Conservation Commission's request to have it be a permeable surface. But there is such a thing as permeable asphalt, it's just expensive.
Yes, and so they're on that property with the thing that they built, and we've been very courteous with them about that. should we have them back in again?
So I'm
Ask them
hoping,
why they wouldn't follow through on what they agreed to?
I'm hoping that we'll continue the conversation, and again, cooler heads will prevail, and they will move forward with the project as we had negotiated, or what we had said, because technically, like you said, we didn't need to have their infrastructure on our property.
Correct.
We had to grant them an easement to put something on our property, which diminished the value of our property, so that they could have that there in exchange for the parking spaces. So I've been very clear with them that there was a clear exchange for what we had offered them and that the town had offered them with that property. I am hoping that they'll take that advice seriously. But if necessary, we will bring them in before the select board or have town council continue to have these conversations.
Can we reach out to the Department of Public Utilities and ask them if we can file a complaint with them? Because I'm sure National Grid will be coming in for some rate increases anytime soon.
I can definitely look into that.
And this is a good example why we no longer have 9-page agreements. We have 120-page agreements.
You were going to say, this is why we can't have nice things. But thank you for the update. Thank you for I know you're very diligent on this. That's why I thought with the Department of Public Utilities, perhaps take an interest in this kind of an issue.
I think that's a very good idea. If all else fails, before we start spending legal funds,
Right.
or our highway goes and does it, so. Yes, Ed?
Just two questions for Rebecca on the report. On the National Grid, are they using that facility now, or does that have to be signed off by the town first?
Technically, it needs to, they need to be issued a certificate of occupancy by the building commissioner, which they have not been.
So, you sure they're not using it?
I've asked the building commissioner to follow up, but a certificate of occupancy has not been issued, I know that.
Okay. The second thing on the trash and recycling contract, when you did the RFPs, did you ask the companies if, what it would cost them to provide the trash barrels?
To go for the actual, to lease them from them?
No, for them to purchase them for the use by the town. 'Cause most times, that I'm familiar with, the trash company supplies the trash barrels. They generally have their name on them, along with the town's name.
So when we talked to each of the haulers, each one of them told us that they would upcharge us and we would get a cheaper price per cart if we use the state contract to purchase the carts ourselves. So I didn't ask for such because each one of them said the unit price would be higher. So I figured in terms of getting the best deal for the town to outright buy them would be a more efficient use.
Okay. No, I'm all set.
Yes,
Just
Steve.
two quick questions. Once you have some info on the Washington Street, Salem Street intersection, can we put that on the agenda to just get an understanding of what the findings were? I mean,
100%. I hope to have a preliminary report from them when we have our meeting this week so that I can get a better understanding of what data they collected and then figure out exactly what conceptual ideas they're talking about. So I might have some schematics for you as well. Very basic, but definitely something to have an agenda and discussion on.
And then, thank you. And then on the trash and recycling, specifically around the cart pickup, since we have to go outside of that current company and look at other options, I mean, could we, as we're investigating that, could we look and see if there's maybe a hybrid option where people could drop them off in a centralized location and still get pickup if they're not able to do that?
100%, we asked about that as well.
Okay,
So
great.
great idea. I just haven't found a company that can do that yet, but we thought the same thing.
Okay, thank you.
You're not gonna rent a shredder and turn it into little bits of plastic? Do you have any questions?
No, all
No.
good.
I have a question about the Salem Dam project. Does that, finishing that work, does that include putting in a new guardrail?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Right now, they have Jersey barriers there, but it will include the new guardrail.
Have Jersey barriers in?
That's what I was told.
They have a flashing light on Washington Street too, I didn't.
You gotta come down to South Groveland sometime.
Yes.
I'll take a better look at that. You see the Jersey barriers?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I see them on the side with the fences. But on the other side, when I look at the lake,
Oh, no, it's right there, they're right there, yeah, it's great, gets people to
Guess I'm
slow
not very
down, they see
observant.
all the orange barrels everywhere, yeah.
all right. Selectmen time? Kathy?
Well, tomorrow's Veterans Day. Ceremony's at what, 10:30 a.m.? Yep, at Central Station. 10 or 10:30? 10:30. 10:30, that's what I thought.
And who's speaking?
I'm all set.
You speaking at the veterans? Good, good. Anything else?
No, not that I know.
Becky?
Yes. I just have something, a comment. It is the time of year, right? It's November, holiday time, so I think people think about giving anyway, but I've had some deep concerns surrounding the SNAP program funding, which it does affect Groveland residents. Based on some data from our neighbors table, as of July, there's 341 individuals in our town who rely on SNAP benefits, which gives consistent, reliable access to healthy food. So while the government shutdown may or be nearing an end, I'm not even too sure anymore. I think we have to keep in mind there's 341 residents that are stressed. And that anxiety doesn't disappear just because the shutdown does. I think it's brought a lot of things to light. So every Groveland resident deserves access to basic necessities. And when something as fundamental as food is at stake, it's up to all of us to respond. So if you are in a position to help, encourage donations to the Council on Aging, Food Bank, Our Neighbors Table. There are two organizations locally that really help support Groveland. I know that we had Will Courtney from Our Neighbors Table come last October, and provided some statistics and insight. I'll throw it out there, maybe worth having him come in again just to talk about it, because I think this is a group of residents that I just want to know that we see them and our community should be rallying around to help them, especially when funding for programs that they rely on are on the line.
Anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
Steve?
So I'll echo what Becky said, and, you know, obviously with that, if you're able to, obviously, a small act can make a huge difference. So that I think it's really important to support those efforts, local food banks, things like that. So that was one thing. And then the other thing was, and this is just more for a future agenda item, Kathy brought it up, but this is something I had that I wanted to discuss tonight. I'd like to see if we can talk about perhaps reviewing one or two boards or committees, the charges for one or two boards or committees a quarter, and trying to update them. We could work with the current chairs of those committees and boards and maybe put together something that mirrors what we did with the Sustainability Committee.
I think that'd be a good idea. I know that the charge is usually very, or should be very specific. And it's something that over the years, I'm sure has fallen off.
Yep.
So I think that would be a great thing to do.
Yeah, and I think it will help with engaging more people and getting more volunteers, because if they understand what a particular board or committee does and what they can do, I think that's a lot more engaging.
And I think it'll be important to review those, especially now that we have a town administrator with some authority within town hall.
Yep.
And that's something that really helps streamline the whole committees. So yeah, that's a great idea. And I myself, I know that we just recently did the Stuff a Cruiser event. I did see a lot of people at the market when I was there.
Yeah.
That was going specifically to buy food for that. That was fun. Everybody was talking, and so yes, I think it's well worth if you can to donate to the local.
Right. So it being the Thanksgiving, the holiday, the season of giving, why don't we look into doing something? I mean, having people drop off things here, find out what the biggest
I
need
know that
is.
Council on Aging is doing something right now.
Right, but the select board maybe could find another avenue, another thing that's needed. We could reach out and find out an area where there's necessary something and ask to do a collection to go to one of these places. I just think people look for ways to do it. They may not know where to bring things, I mean,
Yes, and I think that's one of the more important things.
yeah.
Especially right
so-
here, because we do have the Council on Aging has their own little pantry here.
Right,
So it can be very discreet, and which is also an important factor to consider.
but the food pantry that the gentleman you spoke of, that would be where a lot of the residents on SNAP might be going to. So I was going to say, if we could reach out and find out what kind of goods maybe is most needed, we could do like a collection between now and into December, and then just have it all go up there.
Yeah, I know that the Council on Aging said that since holidays was coming up, gift cards would be something that they would be looking forward to, so people could actually purchase holiday-type foods that weren't necessarily non-perishable.
Right.
So I think that's a great way to do it.
Yes, but then there's the people that aren't in that age.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
They-
so I was just
they're-
saying,
they're open.
does the board want to put that on the agenda, as something we want to think about to do something?
Absolutely.
As a select board, yes, thank you.
You're very welcome, Kathy.
That's what I'm getting around to. Roundabout, sorry.
No, it's quite all right. It's fine. It's fine. All right, and with that, I don't have anything else, so I'll, unless anybody else has something else they'd like to say? Anybody from our audience?
Just generic, it's my first meeting, I'm very impressed with the thoughtfulness and the variety of issues you guys have faced. Great job.
Thank you very much.
If I was to submit a public comment, I went to,
Grab that mic. And if you could give us your name and address, that'd be great, too.
Yep, so my name's Iman Eldenary. I'm at 88 King Street in Groveland. I've been here for 10 years, live in a house with my wife and my son. If I wanted to submit a public comment, I went to the website that's available. I filled in the fields and put my form in on, not this past Sunday, but 2 Sundays ago. And then I missed when you guys went to public comment that was maybe the moment I should have spoken up. But I also saw that maybe it has to be on the agenda. So if you could clarify for me so I don't screw it up next time.
Absolutely. I think if you had submitted something, it should have come up and,
Usually we get emailed as soon as the form's submitted online, so I'm not sure
Yep.
what happened to the form.
So it was regarding the garbage collection, and I did get a phone call the Monday morning afterwards from I'll get the department wrong.
Elise Travis
It was
with Board
Elise,
of Health.
yeah. So she called immediately that Monday asking about, and I think she was trying to solve a problem versus maybe understand my future concerns, right? And after talking with her, I said, well, I'll still go to the select board meeting because that was my purpose for submitting, so.
So maybe that's where that got lost with the public,
Yep.
form.
So just in general, I guess that's still the right place to submit, and then, okay. That's it.
what's your future concern?
I think I was appreciating your comments about the long driveways, et cetera. We have a long driveway. We've got 2 hills on it. We're on a shared driveway. And, we have to drive our garbage down, which
Yeah.
we have an issue with. But a 32-gallon can of recycle and 32-gallon can of trash is more than enough for us, for a family of 3.
Yeah,
You put both of those in the back of the sewer and drive it down.
Yeah.
we can snow. If I gotta do that with the 39-pound, 96-gallon can that you guys gave us nicely, and even a 64-gallon can, which is gonna be 29 pounds, fully loaded, there's no way I'm letting my wife take that down when I'm out of town, down the driveway. Nor am I interested.
taking
So I
it
was gonna
down.
ask you to consider, and it sounds like very much like you have.
Yes, and it is something that we discussed as a board, to take those things into consideration. Absolutely.
Obviously, you want to save money and everything, but, cost of one fall from a town's member and the liability associated with that would be significant. So, but I appreciate your comments today, feel good about it. And I
Great.
appreciate being able to sit and meet.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for
Manage of a
coming in.
small town-type government.
Yep.
All right, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn at 9:05 PM.
Motion and a second.
We're not going to read look at the
Oh,
correspondence.
correspondence, yes.
Sorry, I'm,
We have correspondence. We have correspondence.
I did see
I
that.
guess it
I
was
withdraw my motion.
action taken, enforcement action taken
Yeah.
against Takati Corona. Hopefully that won't become an issue in the future. And then there was another piece of correspondence, which was,
The Attorney General's decision on our warrant articles. So we can put that on an agenda item if you'd like to discuss further.
yes, please,
Yep.
absolutely.
Now,
Now can we adjourn?
motion to adjourn at 9:05 PM.
I'm not doing it this
I'll second that.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor?
Yep.
Unanimous. Thank you all very much.